Hi, sir.
Hey, good afternoon, good evening. Is the voice okay? How's the voice? Fine?
Yeah, it's fine. We can hear.
Perfect, thanks. We're just waiting a little bit longer for people to come in. But while we're here, did anyone have any questions? Has anyone looked at any of you looked at your assignments yet?
No,
No.
no, it hasn't. But it
Okay,
will occur like the end of December, right?
correct, yeah. You have time.
Yeah.
You have, you have, what is it, the third at the moment. You got 4 weeks, so you have a bit of time. Have a quick look at the assignment, yeah, for sure. Now's a good time. I'm looking at the other assignments too because what sometimes happens is you get the assignments one at a time, but like really quickly. Assignment 2, okay, that's fine. Assignment 3, that looks okay. Okay, looks pretty good. Yeah, it is. Um, February, yeah, again, you've got plenty of time for this one. Maybe because we've got a small group, we don't have that many students in this unit, which means that we might do something. Leave it if you can't. Okay, let me put it to you this way: if you can't find a group, we'll work something out. Okay, maybe
Okay.
we'll do something. Yeah, I think I've only got 10 people in this, or 15 people in this group. So we'll wait for another like 4 minutes, and then we have to start. We'll have to start. The people come late. That's on them. But this is the topic we're doing today is interesting, but a little bit theoretical. I'm going to start up the lab. I don't think that we'll be able to do the lab all of it today, but I'll get you on the right path. But there's a bit theoretical with this, the way that with the concepts of this topic. I'm just going double checking something. This heat, it's too much. We're Melburnians. We're not used to this weather.
Yeah. It's like super hot.
Too hot.
Yeah.
Can't take it.
Even me, like sometimes it go more than like 20 degrees. I like it's really hot
Yeah,
for me.
yeah. 20 degrees is perfect. Anything more is between 10 and 20 is my range. I love that between 10 and
Yeah,
20.
same.
Yeah. It's a bit cold. You put a jumper, you walk around a bit,
Mm.
you'll be okay. But
Too hot. You cannot like don't put
mm,
any glow and go, right?
yeah, exactly. All right. So this lab. Oh yeah, yes, I remember. See, when I did these labs, Tran, did I haven't released it yet. Ooh, that's not good. Hang on, I thought I released this one. Thank you for reminding me. Sorry, I'll do that now. Why did I? There must have been a reason. Why did I not release this? Why didn't I do it? I thought
I
I did.
think you released the you
Hmm.
not release the quiz. You released the lab submission. Check.
Oh, okay. Yes, you're right. You are right. Thank you, Tran, and thank you. How do you pronounce your name? Is it
Uh, Khóa.
Kwa?
Yeah.
Thanks, Kwa. You are absolutely right. Thank you. So I released the labs, but not the self-check. Okay, I'm going to release them now. I'm going to do it right now. I do apologize. Really apologize for that one. I should. What happened was there were some students who applied for extensions, and I can't release it until everyone submits. But everyone has. So I'm going to do that now. Yeah, okay, so I've posted those, and it'll take maybe a couple of minutes for you to get the email. You might get some emails now. Thank you very much for reminding me. I really appreciate that. Missed it. All right, so we are going to. So Thea, thank you, Tran and Carl. So we'll start with this presentation today. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about advanced malware evasion tactics. You're not going to believe this topic. So you get anti-malware software. You get anti-malware. You get an anti-malware solution. So you might get anti-malware software. You might get endpoint detection and response. Well, these days they're called endpoint detection X, which responds and protects us all kinds of stuff. Then you have your intrusion detection system, intrusion prevention system. You've got anti-phishing on your email. So your email will look at an application and can see that it's malware. And just as we thought, we've won this battle. Programmers, computer scientists who are working for the bad guys, it depends what side you're on, right? Oh, welcome, Jon Mergner. Just as you think we've won this battle, they come up with some programming, okay? Some programming methods, programming algorithms, yep, that change its own coding or changes its own behavior. It's like, how can we defeat that? How can we win this war now? Now it's like in nature. There's you have viruses. I was actually watching YouTube the other day. I was watching microbiology. You know what? Just because I had nothing else to do. My daughter, she's at Monash University. She's studying Bachelor of Arts. Sorry, Bachelor of Science at Monash, and she does biology there. So I thought I might, learn a bit about that so that I can continue to have conversations with her. In nature, a microbe or a microbe. There's actually in nature there's wars between different microbes, bacteria. Sorry, it's like a war out there, and they're attacking each other all the time. You've got fungus that are attacking other fungus, and there's other. Oh, it's crazy out there. It's vicious. It's a vicious, nasty world. And what one does, it will produce some poison. I'm not a biologist expert, and it will attack the other bacteria, which will die, but then will start to change its behavior, change the way it does things, and attacks back. And they keep doing it until they just get better and better and better and stronger. So they just change and adapt. So with advanced malware evasion tactics, one of the tactics is actually that the programmers create a bit of code that evades detection. So what evades means is that has anyone played I don't know, when I grew up in the 80s, 90s, we played poison ball. Did you know if you play poison ball where someone throws a ball at you and you have to dodgeball, I think we called it. I think we call it poison ball, dodgeball, whatever. So you have to move to the left, move to right, so the ball didn't hit you. Nowadays, with programming here, the program, the application, the code is designed to actually avoid detection by changing its behavior, because malware has a certain behavior, okay? Some of those behaviors can be detected by these anti-malware solutions, because it says, well, what does malware do? It tries to access memory, CPU, networking in a way, and that way has a signature. And anti-malware can say, look, well, that's weird, that's strange. That behavior is what malware does. I'm gonna quarantine this application or this code. But with evasion tactics, these codes and application can change and evade detection, and it's really dangerous. Let's have a look at this a little bit more. So today, really quickly, because we only have an hour session a week, we're going to explore techniques malware uses to avoid detection. All right, how does it avoid it? We're going to learn a little bit about anti-disassembly and anti-debugging and anti-virtual machine methods. We're going to understand packers and how malware is concealed and unpacked for analysis. Meanwhile, we're going to have to find some time to do the lab as well. I'm only going to, I know people who have a computer science degree and know everything from C++ to Java to Cobalt, all these programming languages. Okay, this is not for this topic. It's just really introductory, and it's not designed to give you so that you can be experts in it. But being aware of it, it's handy to know. All right, I'm going to bring up that. I'm going to fire up the labs so that by the time we finish the slide, we'll be able to go into that labs a bit. I'm just going to go to Azure and then virtual machines, and then I'll fire that lab up. Okay, so that should take a couple of minutes, and then we'll jump in there. So first of all, let's talk about anti-disassembly techniques. All right, so let's tackle this one by one. So what anti-disassembly means is this. We have things called control flow flattening, obfuscation, polymorphism, and opaque predicates. Don't worry if you don't get all of this. It's okay. I don't get all of this either, 100%. Okay, I know enough to be able to understand what's happening when an attack happens, and I know what to do when some of these things happen. I can jump on. Oh yes, I know this. Polymorphism. Yeah, I know what I've got to do now. But this stuff is low-level programming. But if that's something that you're going to do one day, which, by the way, between you and me, is pretty good money, but it's hard. All right, let's have a look at control flow flattening first. Basically, it obscures the logical flow of the code. So with code, you've got procedural languages like C, and it just goes from the top to the bottom, and it doesn't do anything else, really. It calls functions here, gets things from libraries now and then. Then you have object-oriented programming, which has instances within the code itself. But whatever we're using, like C++, for example, whichever type of programming we're using, what control flow flattening it means is it obscures the logical flow. So that flow, the way that it's supposed to flow, like this, we're talking about malware here. So the way that malware runs through a code, it hides it. So our anti-malware, when it's trying to detect malware, it says, well, this does not look like the flow. The way that the programming code is being executed, it's not typical of what malware behaves. I'm going to let it through. Very powerful, very dangerous. It makes it very, very difficult for disassemblers to construct the original structure. So if remember before last week, we had this application where it ran the code kind of like in a sandbox environment. It sort of like did a little bit of reverse engineering. This type of control flow flattening makes it virtually impossible to reconstruct that original structure. Very powerful. Obfuscation. You know what obfuscation means? Get used to this word in cybersecurity. Get used to this one. It's very, 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 very powerful. Actually, let me get my whiteboard out. It's a very simple but powerful a technique that malicious hackers use. In other words, obfuscation means hiding in plain sight. Okay, hiding. Let me write this down for you. Hiding in plain sight, but by replacing. So I'm going to obfuscate. So if I've got a credit card number, as an example, so say it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I'm going to create some sort of, it's not encryption, by the way. It's not encryption. It's different. What it is saying, this set of numbers, I'm going to use this E, F, G, H. It's never this simple, by the way. I'm going to use that to, by using this, it's going to, how do I put this? It's going to act, okay, that's not the word. So when I see this string here, my application knows and understands that what we really mean is this. Okay, so that's the obfuscation. I can hardly say the word. It just means I'm using something to represent. That's the word I'm looking for. I couldn't remember that word for some reason. Represent that number there. Obfuscation is using junk code. Okay, junk code, using junk code which has no meaning. But by using this junk code, it represents the functionality of the malware. Okay, and that's how that malware is hidden. Polymorphism. Oh, by the way, obfuscation does use encryption. By the way, we can encrypt, but basically most of the time it's using junk code. Common techniques is changing the names of variables and making those variable names meaning. So you know, when we name variables, we'll do like string equal. So when we're creating a variable string Harry, and I'll write it as cat. I'm definitely not a cat. But then that confuses people. It's like, why are you naming that string, that piece of text, which is supposed to be Harry? Why are we making it a cat? Yeah. Now let's talk about polymorphism. And this is what I mentioned before about biology, about what bacteria does. Actually, it actually generates unique forms to evade detection. So this code actually creates code. Sort of like sounds a bit like AI in a way, and it kind of is. And they do this just to avoid detection. because anti-malware is looking out for behavior. And if we can change the behavior, if we can show the anti-malware that this code is pretending to do another type of behavior, but it's really doing the malware stuff, then we can get past anti-malware. So polymorphism generates new unique forms of the malware code with each execution. It's signature-based. So signature-based detection is rendered ineffective. Most anti-malware detects viruses and malware based on their signature, how they act, how they perform, based on a string of code and how that code runs. By polymorphism, once it executes, it changes its behavior. Well, it shows the anti-malware that the behavior has changed. Then finally, we've got opaque predicates. And this introduces conditional branches where the outcome is consistent, but not apparent to the disassembler. Constant, sorry, not consistent, constant, but not apparent to the disassembler. So disassembler, when we're having a look at the reverse engineering the code, the outcome, we still get an outcome. So we still execute the code and the malware still does the damage, but the disassembler can't work it out. This code's too clever to work out. So again, it's this cat and mouse game in cybersecurity. The hackers, the programmers, yeah, in a way, yeah, I think a lot of logic bombs use opaque predicates. But this cat and mouse game where developers create anti-malware solutions and they win, and then a couple of months later, the hackers and the programmers out there find ways around it and go even that one step better. So the cybersecurity is that cat and mouse game, especially in applications. It's a big thing. All right, so here's some let's talk about anti-debugging tools. So API hooking. Basically detects, so this technique, the anti-debugging, right? So when we're debugging software, we're having a look and seeing if there are any issues there. Sort of like static anti-debugging and dynamic. By doing this, we can detect things that shouldn't be there. Tools like API hooking detects debugging tools via system APIs. This technique actually knows when we are attempting to debug the code. It really reminds me of AI. It's like it's almost self-aware. It's waiting. So this hooking, it's waiting for you to try. It's like saying, I dare you. It's like this AI daring us to try and find out that it's malware. And once you do it through system APIs, okay, so it gets that attempt, and through a system API, which is like a gateway to another code, it sends that to another code, and that code says, no, hang on, I'm going to cut you off right there. It's so clever. Now, this is the time-based checks. So when we're doing debugging of our application, there's actually a bit of a delay, a slight delay. And this code, again, self-aware code, really says, hang on, why is this slow? This shouldn't be this slow. Someone's debugging this software, this code. I'm going to stop you right there. Then we've got scans memory. So this scans the debugging breakpoints. Basically, that actually scans memory for hardware breakpoints set by debugging. Now I'm just going to have a look at the notes. I'm going to go back to the notes here, so maybe I can give you a bit more of a better explanation of this. We'll come back to that. If we have some time, we'll come back to this a bit better. But then we've got exception-based techniques. Confuses debuggers with exceptions. When exceptions in programs. If at the end, when the code is run, at the end of the piece of code, if there's some error, or if there's some issue, if there's an exception, we need to be able to, the code needs to handle that. But what this technique does, it actually confuses the debuggers by adding exceptions in there for no reason. So our debugging tools likes logic. If something illogical comes in, our debugging tools gets confused and won't work anymore. All right, what's next? Anti-virtual machine techniques. Yes. Yep. I'm telling you right now. So us, the good guys, we think, okay, fine. All right, we're just not going to run our apps on machines that have access to hardware, direct hardware. We're just going to isolate them in a virtual machine. We're just going to say, you know what? We're going to put in a virtual machine. We're going to isolate it. We're going to sandbox it. Well, these guys, these programming hackers or whatever, have actually found a way that they can scan for virtual machine specific artifacts. Okay, like for example, virtual machine tools and virtual box drivers. In virtual machines, they've actually got tools that we need to install so that these virtual machines can run in a virtualized environment. These coders have found a way of detecting that, and if that's the case, well, it won't run actually, or it changes its behavior. It will query the registry keys. It'll go straight into the registry, this malware software, this malware code. So registry keys, files, or processes associated with virtual environments. If you've got some time, if you fire up a virtual machine one day and go to regedit, you can actually see the difference. So if I get regedit, I'm going to get regedit on my own system. If I bring this up. Okay, this is weird. Here we go. I've got two screens and it's warped a bit. So I can tell, so my regedit, I can tell that this is going to be running on a machine because I've got things like I've got a local machine, I've got hardware, I've got it's like a UEFI configuration, yeah, this sort of stuff here. Nothing there, but all this like this AMD chip. This means absolutely nothing to me, by the way. But the virtual machine in regedit is going to be very different to this. If all this configuration here is going to be quite different, and these applications, this malware, can detect the difference between the registry in a virtual machine and in an actual machine, Windows operating system that's running in a virtualized environment. Look into it, research into it. It's very interesting. So it's like it's a way of evading. If you're sandboxing an application, you want to see if it runs. The modern day malware can actually detect that's being run in a sandbox environment. Really clever. And of course, with the virtual machine, it actually has that time discrepancy. So that means it's all right. Have you ever watched one of those like on National Geographic or those wildlife shows where they observe the behaviors of lions, for example? And they're doing studies on lions and observing the behavior and recording the behavior. They're trying to find information about how they live their life and that. But here's the problem with that. Just by them being there, these researchers, just by them observing the lions, actually changes their behavior. the lines act differently just because there's a human there. Even if the person is not visible, even if the line is not aware of them, if there's just them being there in the environment, that it could be the smell, could be the way that the sound waves move, or it might be a slight difference, but there is a difference. Now, with this timing discrepancy, because it's in a virtual machine, even the way that virtual machines process code or processes RAM and memory, it's going to always be a little different, most probably much slower than if it's run on a bare metal machine, or also like it gets direct access with the machine straight away. You have to remember so if you've got a Windows 10 machine that's running on your laptop or on your machine, you've got direct access to the underlying hardware through the kernel. Straight away, straight to the RAM, straight to the CPU, straight to the graphics card network, whatever it is. In a virtualized environment, you have always, and it depends, you're always going to have some type of software here, a hypervisor of some type. And then you have the underlying hardware. You got your RAM and your CPU, the RAM, CPU, and whatever. Just that software, as good and fast as most hypervisors are nowadays, there's always going to be like that slight difference, millisecond or something. And this discrepancy can be picked up and observed. It's interesting. Then we have instruction behavior. Actually, by the way, while I'm here, I might as well. My virtual machine stopped because I was talking too much. I'll run it again, our labs, and then I'll try to keep an eye on it. So instruction behavior. Executes instructions that behave differently in a virtual machine compared to physical hardware. So the actual malware has coded into it. Man, these people are geniuses who wrote this code. Like, they are brilliant. I'm admiring them, actually, even though they're building malicious code. They're pretty clever. If only they use their brilliance for the good of mankind. And you know what? Probably some of them do. They do coding. They write malware. They get caught, or they convince application developers, look, I've just done this. I'm very good, and they might get hired. But they're brilliant. So this basically, they're changing the behavior. The code actually notices that when it's executed in a virtual machine, it's different, and then it changes its behavior or it stops. Really fascinating, actually. And I think finally we've got and now we've got the last section, which is packers and malware concealment. I mean, this one it's probably a bit easier to understand, but the malware actually gets compressed maybe in a zip file or something, or just compresses it, just compressing. You know the way that compression techniques works is that you have some bits. Yeah, and the way that so, for example, the way that things are compressed is that there's one way. There's many ways to do this, but these leading zeros are removed. They remove it, but this is left because there's only one. Something like that. And basically, you make the code smaller, and by doing that, you can actually conceal some of the code as well. That's not exactly how compression works, but encryption, yeah, absolutely. You can hide code by encrypting it. And that's another problem with the CPU. If you're de-encrypting, so this code will de-encrypt that malware while it's in the CPU, while it's in the RAM, and then the anti-malware can't catch it. Okay, but the new anti-malware solutions out there can observe can look at the encrypted files and coding, but even if it's encrypted, as it's running, based on that behavior, can stop it. It's just that cat and mouse game. Really interesting. Dynamic. So then unpacking malware. Run the packed. So this dynamic analysis runs the malware in a controlled environment to trigger unpack. Yeah. So this is what we do once we get this, and we did this a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? Yeah. And this is the solution. I need to fix this slide up a bit. So with the malware is concealed, the only way to find out if there's malware in there is to use some of these tools here. All right, so now I'm going to run the lab now, and we'll see what this lab looks like. But that's it for the lecture. All right, let's jump into that. Yep. So it looks like so there's an actual file that you download for the lab, and the purpose of this lab is we're going to unpack a packed file. We're going to open it up, and remember we are in this over here. This whole setup is a sandboxed environment. We can go crazy. We don't care. It's not a production. We're not using this for anything except other than testing stuff. So the use of packers is a very common technique for obfuscating malicious code. By packing it up, by encrypting it, by compressing it. Remember, there are various off-the-shelf packers, but I believe. Yeah, so this lab, what we're trying to do is we're going to try and recognize whether a file has been packed or not by this tool. So we're going to recognize what a packed file looks like. We'll learn what the purpose of stub and how it can be used in progressing an unpacked task. We'll try to use a disassembler. We'll try to use a debugger. And I think we'll just do this. We'll do as much as we can because it's probably a long lab. All right. So let's look for signs of a packed file. Okay, we're going to go into the labs here, and we're going to unpack lab 5, and the password is infected. We'll extract that. Infected. Yeah, so our file was turned off. Okay, and there it is, lab 5, and I believe that this is that application we're looking at. We've extracted it, so we're going to open this in DIE, D-I-E, the application or tool, which is over here. Double click and we'll run that. And we're going to inspect some headers and to see, and we'll have a look at the characteristics of this file is. So let's just copy that there. run that file in there, and it will scan that. And we can, and hopefully we can try and see that it'll, it will see immediately that the tool recognized the packer used for packing this file as. So it's going to give us information about the compiler and stuff like that. So you can see that it was done in C++, and we can see that that the packer that packed this file is UPX. So by using this tool, I know that there's a malware in here, and that it's a packaged file. Very useful. And by the way, modern day applications never this easy. Just letting you know. UPX apparently is one of the most popular packers out there. It can be used on legitimate software, by the way, but malicious users use it, of course. If we click on File Info, it tells us more about the architecture. It was run on a Windows Server 2013. Oh my God. And you can go through all that if you want to. Yeah, it shows you more confirmation, PE64, the Yara rules. So these are rules you can use to try and find stuff. I think that's supposed to be virus total, which will take us to the website and see if it can detect it there. So we need more evidence, Yeah, that's funny. Look, it's undetected, undetected. That's concerning. That's worrying that they're not finding it. But anyway, and then I'll let you fill out those questions. Does the file have less than 3 imported DLL? So you got to dig into this and you got to find your way through this. A little bit of investigation. But anyway, this file is packed. We know this. So we've completed step 1. Let's go to step 2. All right, we're going to use Ghidra. Okay. Ghidra. Okay. That's not what. There it is. How cool is that? That dragon's awesome. All right, so we're going to create a new project called Lab 5. Actually, project, new project. I hate this one. I've got to manually go through it. It's annoying. It's very small for me. It's hard for me to see this on my screen because it's really small. So I've got to get my Superman glasses on. Maybe it's desktop. Yeah. Nope. Maybe just put that there. Try that, hopefully. All right, project name, I'm just going to call it Lab 5 and finish. Okay. All right. So we're going to import file. That's so annoying. Okay, here we go. Unpacking that one. That's the one we're looking for. Select file to import. And let it load now. So Ghidra will analyze this application. And it's attempted to decompile it and see how that runs. So in Ghidra, you can look at the assembly and decompiled instructions side by side, navigating between the different functions. All right, how do we do that? Good question, actually. We'll go OK. There we go. There we go. Would you like to analyze it? Yes, let's do it. We'll analyze it. Takes a bit of use to getting this. This is sort of like really old school kind of applications there, but still very powerful. So this is a program tree over here. This is the disassembly view because it's trying to disassemble it. Over here is the decompile view. Let's go to the functions list. Which is over here, I believe. Somewhere here. Oh, yeah, there it is. Functions. These are the functions within the code. Remember our object-oriented code? It has actual functions in there, which is object-oriented programming. See some functions there. You can skim through the code. Have a look at it. Yeah, here are the functions over here. So a function is an instance, is a program within a program. And in the code actually goes and grabs the code in this instance. So it's like a program within a program. It's classical object-oriented programming then. That's what a function is. This is cool. This is amazing. This is actually reverse engineered. We actually don't have the code, but it's found it for us. So we can check that out if you want to. Play around with it, have a look. If you want to be programmers or app developers, you'll learn a lot of things here. Remember, this is developed in C++. C++ is old, but still used heavily. So the number of functions recognized by Ghidra is very limited. So there's actually more functions there, but this is the only one that Ghidra can locate, can find. So if we look at, we've seen them already. So we've got what was 92 there. So there you go. All right, so I'm going to let you go and you do the rest and read the rest and write down the instructions, the answers to the questions there. Cool. So now we're going to, because we've only got like 10 minutes left, so we'll close that. I'm not going to save this, but you should. Now we're going to use x96 debugger.exe by choosing x64. Again, oh, there it's down there. A little bug there. You see that little guy over there? He's just waiting for us to click on him. Double click. And we'll use 64 because we're, 64 because it's a 64-bit application, I think. Whoa, that's a lot of stuff going on there. From File, go to Open, and we'll load the lab. Because we can't. It's going to be hard to find that. So we'll do all files. Click on that one too. Yeah, that's not an instruction guide, but just a heads up. Just we'll open that now and check that out. Bet you didn't know you could do this. Look at all that stuff there. This program is a debugger. So you could use this application to debug your own programming, your own the code that you write yourselves, but also for malware too. So what do we have here? Got execution buttons up here. Step into, step over, trace into, trace over, execute till return. You got your register windows over here. So this is what changes registers in Windows, I guess. This is your memory dump on the bottom here. This stack window here. Go to Options and Preferences. I know I'm jumping a bit because I'm trying to cover as much as I can in this time. But you can go to Events, and these are just settings you can keep open. What we want to do is there's so much stuff there. I think we need to remove all the check marks except entry breakpoint. And then I think we have to save and restart. Control F2 is a good one. Control F2. File, I don't think I can for some reason. View. Interesting. Restart button. Actually, hang on. There we go. All right, cool. I think that worked. Let me just check. Yeah, perfect. Did. Now, so click inside the CPU window, which should be here. Yep. And press G, Control G. And click OK. All right, fine. Click on the little circle next to the address. Control G. Hang on a sec. Sorry about this. 1 second. So FC, I think it's that one here. FG. Yep. Then OK. We're going to follow that. And the jump, yeah. So we're going to go up here, I think. Nope. I think because we missed a step earlier, didn't we? Okay, well, I did jump over a step or two because I'm trying to cover a lot of stuff, but I'll leave that one to you to finish. Have fun with it. And we'll go to step 4 and 5. We'll go to step 4 and 5, which is dump and reconstruct the original files headers. Let's jump out of this one. Let's go and get, don't know how to pronounce this, Skilly or something. If we can find it. Wait a second, we use X debug. I think we have to do the previous ones, yeah, in order for this to work. Never mind. I'm going to leave that to you guys. I'm going to leave that for you to have fun with. Okay, so who do we have? I've got a couple of people just pop in. Anyway, so that's the end of the demonstration. I'll let you guys have fun with that. I want to leave some little bit of hard work for you to do as well. I'm just going to log out. Any questions or any issues? So by the way, those who've just come in, I think Aaron and Sandu, I think you came in. I've released the marks for everything. I think so, Tran. Let me just double check. No, it's still 64. It's still going to be 64 dbg. But it's a plugin, so yeah. All right. So I'm going to shut that lab off. Yeah. So now I've released the marks for everything. Remember, you've got the end of this month for the next assessment to appear, which is the practical application. Next week, I'm going to spend half the lab talking about the assignment 1, the practical application. So we'll talk about that a bit longer, a little bit. But other than that, any questions or any issues? Now's the time. Are we all good? All right then. So you know where to find me. You can email a discussion group. I'm in Discord all the time. You can always ask me any questions. But until then, have a good night, everyone. Enjoy your evening and yeah, take care. I'm going to end the recording now.